Good morning, everyone. You know me. I'm Nancy Ganzakoffer, business coach to interior designers and body language trainer, and I am here with my associate coach, Lesley Myrick. Good morning, Lesley.
Good morning, Nancy. How are ya?
Good.
You look very tanned.
I'm getting tanner every day. That's what happens when you now live in Florida and no longer live in New York. So, yeah, I go out in the morning, I go out at night, and sometimes in the middle of the day. And yeah, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there really does the trick here. The sun is very strong. But okay, so let's talk today about, as an interior designer, do they need to hire a professional photographer for their marketing? I'm going to let you take the lead on this because you have been through it all as a current and interior designer, and through all the gyrations of being new and not having enough money and then maybe having enough money. So what do you do if you don't feel like you can do the professional photography? Let's start there.
Yes. So, the short answer, do you need a professional? Yes. But, and I'm caveating this because I understand not everyone is at that level. Not everyone is at a place where they can charge enough to have that buffer to afford photography. So I fully understand, and I have done it myself. I have photographs of my own projects. I have bootstrapped it. I'm not going to sit here and say I've always paid for a photographer because it does take getting to a certain point in business to be profitable enough to be able to do that. So yes, you can take your own photos for a season, I would say, with some education and tips, because it's not just a matter of whipping out your phone and snapping a photo and putting it on your website. That reeks of amateur, and you're a professional and you need photos that support that.
Yes. I think that sometimes social media is, people don't want to work at it, right? And I get it. It's time consuming. We don't all know how to do it. We have to learn how to do it. Like even you and I, we're changing. Facebook is changing every day, that we have to try to figure out their new way of going live in a group. And it's crazy, but it's worth trying to figure out how to look professional on your social media, because people might feel if it's not looking professional, it is an indication on how you run your business as well.
Yes.
Right. So the photography, although it may not always be professional, there are certain things you should keep in mind if you're doing your own photography. And we have a training in our membership site from Linda Holt, who graced us with an extra training for my membership site, our essentials, to teach you how to take photography yourself using a smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But you're familiar with this. So give a couple of tips on how to do it.
Yes. So I actually worked for several years for a home retailer, and I did set design and styling and photography. So I was really grateful to learn a lot about the difference between styling an interior for a family or for a client and styling an interior for a shoot. And there are differences. Really important things to note. And Linda does go into more detail in the training in the Essentials membership site. And it's a really good training if you are.
Yeah, it is.
Lighting, just like with an actual room that you see with your eyes, lighting is so important in photography. And what's funny is it's probably going to be the opposite of what you think. High-end editorial photos never have interior lights on. All the lights are off. And that's how you get the best color and natural lighting in the space. And now that I've told you that, you're going to go look around and you're going to notice that really great high-end designers, editorial pieces, published rooms always have the lights off, because artificial lighting really impacts photography. So
well, yeah, the lens will focus on where the light is, and you really have to know what you're doing to get it not to.
Yeah, and it casts yellow tones, and it messes with the color of things. So turn all your interior lights off and use your phone camera's brightness setting. And Linda goes into that. We're not going to get into the tech stuff here, but just know that's a huge part of it. Mm-hmm. Getting your angles and your vertical and horizontal lines right. Another dead giveaway. You will know, now that you know this, you can't unsee it. Vertical lines are always vertical in high-end photography. Look in a magazine. Nothing is wonky. Nothing is skewed.
Yeah,
because you know how you think cabinetry might start doing this at the top of the space. In professional photography, the verticals are vertical, and there is a grid built into smartphones, and that will help you get those up. They'll help you get your verticals. And it is tricky to get right on a phone. It's pretty finicky. And these little things make a difference. There is software you can edit afterwards, but while you're framing up a shot, that is something I want you to remember, is get those vertical lines. Like you can see behind me in this video, my shelf goes whoop. And it's just the limitations of a webcam in my office, but that's exactly what you want to avoid in your photography. Those should be straight up and down.
Yeah, I'm looking at mine now. It's like,
yep.
Right? Because the angle of the camera, how I hung the picture, if I change it, it's going to, it yes. changes everything. So, yeah, Linda goes into how to find these grids on your iPhone, which is in our essentials, and how to deal with the lighting. She gives a lot of extra tips also, right? So, okay, vertical lines, lighting should be off, and then time of day matters too then.
Yes, you want soft, even light. You don't want harsh sunlight coming in, having big, bright areas, and then by contrast, dark, shadowy areas. It looks cool in person. It doesn't make a great photo. You want to find a time of day, or a cloudy day, honestly, is ideal, where the light is softer and more diffused, and you don't have those direct streams of light coming in a window and casting shadows on things.
So hard to manage this when you're trying to schedule
this is what the professionals know and will work around. So there, I mean, right there is there's
right. So you need to hire a professional photographer. Our answer is yes, we'd like you to, but we understand you may not always be able to. So we're giving you tips on how to use your iPhone. Like we have a full training in our essentials on how to do it, but these are a couple of tips to do it today. Right. But also talk about what they can do if they don't feel like they have any spaces to photograph as well. Let's give it a couple
you do.
Tips
so many designers start out photographing their own homes, and there is nothing wrong with that. Usually your own home is kind of your playground and you're experimenting. And here's the thing, don't panic and say, well, my living room isn't done or this. Find a vignette. Photograph a great shelfie moment. Do little nooks, niches, corners, little moments that communicate more of a feeling than a full zoomed out completed room. People love those detail shots. And if you don't have a strong enough room design yet, don't put a half-baked photo up of a room that you are not proud of, or the kind of room that you don't want more of from clients. But try to find and style little moments in your home and photograph those. There is no shame in going and buying some accessories, jazzing it up, and returning them afterwards if you need to. Like, don't, just like you would do for a client, buy fresh flowers, get a few new accessories, textiles, throw pillows, stuff that represents you and your style and your aesthetic, and make it work with what you have.
Yeah. And what you said also was only put out what you're looking to attract. Try not to put out what you're not looking. Like if you don't want to do kitchens, don't be putting out a ton of pictures about kitchens you've done, because then you're going to get more kitchens, right? So you have to be cognizant of what you're looking to attract all the time. Okay. Any other tips?
One thing I learned shooting in studio, and I don't think this is something that was in Linda's training, is often in rooms, you have to cheat things forward towards the camera. So one thing that I learned from doing studio photos is the coffee table, where it would be in real life, often ends up looking too far away from camera and really teeny tiny. And you actually need to pull things sometimes closer to camera that look really stupid in real life, but they look normal through the lens. And that's really important, to keep looking through that camera and seeing what the camera sees, not what your eye is seeing. So often you'll have to pull tables forward. Often we'll be moving lamps and accessories around that, like, sometimes they're almost at the edge of the table, but they photograph better that way. So just remember that a stylist's eye, a photographer's eye, is different than an interior designer's eye. And if you're shooting yourself and doing this all solo, look through that camera, look at what the camera sees, and not just what you are seeing as the designer in the space.
And as you're talking, all I'm thinking is, or just learn to charge your worth so that you can, because this is exhausting to me, right? That's why we do
other skill set. It's hard to do well. That's why we hire professionals, but it is doable on your own. And I want people to know that. I shot my own photos, my own projects for years.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie and say that I hired an expensive photographer right out the gate. You've got to start somewhere. And with some basic tips and training, you can get surprisingly good quality photos out of a smartphone. And that's what I want people to take away from this today. It doesn't have to look amateur if you're willing to do a little bit of learning.
Perfectly said, because think about it. If you learn for a month, right? Give yourself a month. Every day, practice taking a shot somewhere. Go into our essentials. Do the training on how to do smartphone photography. before you're able to afford a professional photographer. Go onto YouTube if you have to. Just learn how to do it. And this way you're not so intimidated. And then you have to sort of add to it, I'd say, give up a little bit on perfectionism in the beginning. So yes, we want you to have a professional photographer, but if you're unable to, you may have to learn and give up a little bit on perfectionism, because you still can grow your business and put out images that aren't perfect. It's still going to help you grow your business, putting out images, period. Yes. Right?
Fabulous, not perfection. We want fabulous photos, not perfect photos.
Correct. And it's still okay. And once you start noticing the details, you're going to see how many people put out fabulous, not perfect. And the rest of the world really isn't noticing that much. Occasionally somebody might go, it doesn't seem quite right to me. Something's off. But that's it. Most people won't even notice, the lay person, right? So we want well lit, fabulous interiors or vignettes. And you can create them yourself. You can even go into stores sometimes and create a little vignette, furniture stores, and they'll let you take a picture also. You can also do a flat lay, as it's not a photographer, but a photography of your job, but you can do a flat lay with different textures and fabrics and tiles and flooring and colors to put out also.
Yeah, and knowing how to photograph those matters too, because you can have them look beautiful and professional. And then down the line, you get the room photographed and you've also got a beautiful photograph of the mood board. That's great social media content. People love to see the process. So yes, elevating your photography skills is not going to just help for those final moments. It's going to help you document the design process and get more great photos and content to share too.
Yes. And what about renderings?
I love renderings. If that's another workaround for not having professional photography, is if you're hiring or creating yourself beautiful, high quality renderings, of course, disclose they are renderings.
Yes.
Please do not pretend that they are your photography. Not cool. There's ethical stuff involved, but as long as you say this is a rendering, that's going to look on your feed at first glance like a photo.
Yes, if it's a professional rendering that you do yourself or hire out. So there's many ways around hiring a professional photographer, but our answer is still yes, you need to hire a professional photographer at some point to have those photos that are going to be high quality to show on your website. It really is hard when a designer has that hero shot on their website, which is the first image that you see on their website, and it's not a high quality. So for social media, we can do a lot of what we're saying, right? We can do flat lays, we can do renderings, we can do iPhone photography or smartphone photography, vignettes of our own home and all that stuff. But at some point, we want that hero shot for our website and that high resolution so it doesn't look blurry or pixelated.
Yes.
And that is what happens a lot when you do smartphone photography and then put it on your website. So that is the one area that to me is sort of glaring when a designer does that. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect in the beginning. You can get business without the perfection. So still want to put out fabulous, as high quality photo as you can get.
Bingo. Do what you can, do the best you can with what you have.
Yes.
And then when you can afford better, when you have more skills, then go to that next level. But it's a stair step. You're not going to be published in House Beautiful today.
Correct.
You'll get better photos over time. You'll get better projects. It all plays into it. So start somewhere. If you need help learning how to make the most of your smartphone, Linda Holt's training in the Essentials membership site is so good.
So good. Along with the other 100 trainings and PDFs and, and scripts and everything else we teach everybody in that Essentials membership site. So, all right. Did we miss anything?
That's a great question. I think that's it. I just want to let people know that if you have not checked out the Profit Insiders Essentials membership site, it is really everything you need to run your business. Full stop. This is just a teeny, tiny part of it, this visual communication side. So if you're struggling in business, not quite ready to dive into a coach or a full scale program yet, look at the membership site. It's very reasonable. And there's a ton of value in there for self-starting people who are willing to just dive in, do the work, and learn from experts.
Excellent. Okay. And someone on Instagram, Nuha, is saying, I had a photographer that needed design services. So we exchanged services. And it was when we first started. So bartering, right? I mean,
I've
I
done
did a
that.
lot of bartering. I did a lot of bartering in the beginning, especially as a business coach. I'll help coach your business if you can help me take professional photography, if you can help me bookkeeping, if you can, like, so bartering is okay too. A lot of coaches will tell you do not barter because it undervalues you. I disagree. I think bartering in the beginning could work for certain things. You just don't want to go too far with it, and at some point you have to say,
be
it's
clear with your boundaries, who's delivering what, where does this, I mean, just like you engage with a client, you've got to have clear boundaries. But yeah, that's a great idea. If you can find a way to trade services, to leverage something you have to offer, I think that could be a great entry point too into getting professional photographs taken.
Definitely. All right, everyone, go have a great Thursday. Lesley and I will be here for our clients who get to walkie-talkie us when they have questions. And we will be here next time to discuss a next topic to become a profitable interior designer. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.